you have mere moments to prepare for what's coming. While others are distracted by today's noise, a much larger, more complex crisis is taking shape. This isn't about predicting the future. It's about understanding the forces at play so you can navigate the inevitable shifts. Tune in to gain critical insights into the emerging global challenges that will dominate the next decade. Now let me ask you this. Do you feel like the world around you is becoming stranger, more unstable, harder to trust every single day? Do you sometimes feel like one piece of news, one unexpected shock, could suddenly change everything? If so, you're not imagining it. The truth is, the next global crisis is not something that might come in the distant future. It is already here, quietly, subtly, but powerfully reshaping the world under your feet. The danger is not always in what we see clearly. The danger is in what builds silently, in what grows unnoticed until it bursts into the open. Most people will miss it until it is too late. That is why you need to brace yourself. And I'm sure if you stay until the end, you will see all the signs. So leave a like and let's start. The question is, what is this crisis really about? Because it's not just one thing. It is not only about money, or politics, or war, or energy, or technology. It is about all of them colliding at once, at a scale humanity has rarely seen. A storm of forces that are already unfolding and which together could reshape how we live, how we work, and how we survive. Think of it like an earthquake that has already begun deep underground. At first, the ground just trembles lightly, and you might ignore it. But then the shaking grows, the cracks spread, and suddenly everything on the surface starts collapsing. That is where we are now. The first tremors are here, and the cracks are spreading. Take the global economy. For decades, people believed in endless growth. Nations borrowed more, companies expanded, and consumers piled on debt. But what happens when that system can no longer stretch? You see, the hidden truth is that many governments are now drowning in obligations they cannot meet. Debt levels are at record highs, and every new crisis is forcing them to borrow even more. This is like a family living on credit cards, telling themselves they will pay it back later, only to realise the interest alone is eating them alive. At the same time, we are watching the global supply system fracture. You probably noticed it during the pandemic, when shelves went empty and certain products disappeared for months. That was just a small preview. Nations are now weaponizing supply chains. Energy, food, technology, even basic raw materials, they are all turning into tools of leverage and power. What happens when countries that produce critical resources decide to hold them back? Prices skyrocket, industries freeze, and ordinary people pay the price. But the economic tremors are only one part. Look at geopolitics. Old alliances are breaking down and new rivalries are intensifying. The wars we see now are not isolated conflicts. They are signals that the world order we took for granted is shifting. Countries are no longer playing by the same rules, and trust is disappearing fast. Every sanction, every military exercise, every cyber attack is another crack in the old system. And then there is technology. On the surface, it feels like progress. Artificial intelligence, automation, digital currencies, everything moving faster and faster. But beneath that progress lies risk. What happens when millions of jobs vanish because machines can do them better? What happens when money itself goes fully digital and governments can switch it on or off with the click of a button? What happens when the very tools we depend on become weapons in a global cyber war? Do you see the pattern yet? This crisis is not just financial, not just political, not just technological. It is all of them woven together, each amplifying the other. Like dominoes lined up on a global scale, where the fall of one accelerates the fall of the next. The most dangerous thing is that many people will not see it until the collapse is already in motion. They will distract themselves with entertainment, with gossip, with the next election drama or the next celebrity scandal. And when the shockwave finally hits, they will wonder why nobody warned them. But you cannot afford to wait. You need to start seeing the signs now. For example, consider inflation. Prices around the world have spiked in ways not seen for decades. Food, rent, fuel, medical care, all rising. Governments tell us it's temporary, They say it's under control. But deep down, they know the real truth. Once trust in the value of money itself starts breaking, it becomes almost impossible to restore. Inflation is not just a statistic, it is a symptom of a system under strain. Or look at interest rates. For years, central banks printed money almost for free. They made debt cheap, markets addicted, and people convinced that the good times would never end. But now, raising rates to fight inflation has revealed how fragile everything really is. Banks collapsing, real estate struggling, currencies losing ground. It is like pulling a single card from a tall tower and watching the entire structure wobble. Another example is energy. Entire regions are discovering what it means to depend on others for the power that keeps the lights on, the factories running, the homes heated. When pipelines close or shipments stop, everything grinds to a halt. And when nations scramble for alternatives, prices explode for everyone, creating ripple effects far beyond just energy bills. Now add climate extremes on top of that. Floods, fires, droughts, storms, they're not just natural disasters anymore. They are economic shocks, destroying crops, displacing millions, shutting down industries. And every one of these events feeds back into the larger crisis, driving up costs, driving down stability, and deepening tensions between nations. And here's the frightening part. This is not something that will one day arrive. It is already unfolding piece by piece across the world. The crisis is here, just not evenly distributed yet. Some regions feel it through collapsing currencies, others through food shortages, others through political chaos. But the trend is unmistakable. The tremors are converging. You might be wondering, is there a single trigger that will finally make the world realise? A moment when the slow-motion disaster becomes undeniable? The truth is, it could be many things. A sudden financial collapse in a major economy, a war that spirals out of control, a cyber attack that shuts down global banking for a week, a natural disaster hitting an already fragile system. Any one of these could ignite the firestorm. And when it happens, the shock will not stay contained. It will travel instantly across borders, across industries, across lives. Because we live in a world so deeply interconnected that the collapse of one pillar shakes them all. A financial crash in New York sends ripples through Asia. A conflict in Europe drives food shortages in Africa. A drought in South America pushes prices higher for families in the Middle East. This is the nature of the next global crisis. It does not respect borders. Now, I know this sounds terrifying, and it is, but here is the most important thing. Fear alone will not protect you. Panic will not shield you. What you need is clarity, awareness, the ability to see the patterns before others do. Because when everyone else is still asleep, you will already be preparing. Preparation doesn't always mean building bunkers or hoarding supplies. It means understanding the forces shaping your future and making small choices today that shield you from the worst tomorrow. It means diversifying how you save, how you earn, how you depend on systems that may not last. It means questioning the assumption that tomorrow will always look like yesterday. History teaches us something powerful. Every major crisis feels like the end of the world to those living through it. But it also creates opportunities for those who prepared. Think of the Great Depression. Most people lost everything. But those who saw the shift early and adapted came out stronger. Think of the 2008 crash. Many were wiped out. But a few who understood the cracks in the system turned chaos into wealth. The same will happen again. The question is, where will you stand when this storm fully erupts? Will you be one of those caught off guard, asking how it all happened so fast? Or will you be among the few who recognized the tremors for what they really were? Let me be clear. The next global crisis is already here. It is not waiting for the future. It is unfolding now, in pieces too small for most people to notice. But the pieces are connecting, and soon the picture will be impossible to ignore. So brace yourself, because while others waste their time, you will know the truth. And truth is the first step to survival. You cannot control the storm that is coming, but you can control how prepared you are when it arrives. The next global crisis will expose the illusions of stability that so many rely on. But for those who can see through the illusions, it will also create chances to adapt, to grow, and to protect what matters most. So while the world sleeps, you must stay awake. While others laugh off the warnings, you must take them seriously. Because the next global crisis is not around the corner, it is already here. And only those who brace themselves now will have the strength to endure what is coming. So, to stay always protected, you can subscribe to this channel and let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you soon. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for educational purposes only, and any results depend on your own decisions and actions.